So we're going to be jumping into a process where we worked with our partner, IDIQ Wired, and one of their customers to present a full, complete VMware Workspace ONE solution for their endpoint, user endpoint management, as well as mobile device management. Bobby, if you could jump to the next slide, please. I want to introduce you to Kelly Forsyth with IDIQ Wired. She's the Vice President of Sales, as well as Jamie Yeomans at IDIQ Wired. She's the Enterprise Sales Director. Kelly, if you could give us a little bit of a background on IDIQ Wired real quickly before we begin, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Nick, so great to see you and your mustache. Thanks for having us today. IDIQ Wired is a women-owned, women-led boutique master. We are out of Denver, Colorado. We've been here since 2003. Of course, we're able to work nationally, globally. And what we've found over the last number of years is that our partners, our customers are expecting us to do more and continue to go both deep and wide in those conversations. And it's been really great to be able to partner with our alliance partner in AppSmart and have access to things like VMware for our customers as we do assist with more than just traditional services. So thank you for providing that access and for some great experiences with VMware thus far.
Absolutely. Thanks for jumping in there, Kelly. And then we also have Jamie Yeomans, who we worked in detail with her on this opportunity. And so we'll be getting into somewhat of a question and answer interview with Jamie on the process. And she's going to give you guys some insight into how to qualify, how to understand what's a good fit for a VMware Workspace ONE solution. So I guess we'll go ahead and jump right into it. But Jamie, if you could give us a quick background on yourself, and then we'll get right into the opportunity.
Yeah, hi, Jamie Yeomans here. I've been with IDIQ Wired for about 3.5 years, but I've been in the space since 2002. Was actually at CenturyLink for 9 years and a CLEC before that. So love the experience at IDIQ Wired and being on the channel side, because not single threaded to just one carrier's portfolio, but just really everything that's out there. Like Kelly said, we go deep and wide and have some really fun conversations with our customers, you know, like the VMware Workspace. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate that. So let's dive right in. Let's get to the meat of the presentation here. First off, IDIQ Wired did an unbelievable, excellent job qualifying this opportunity, bringing it to the table, and working it from A to Z. So, Jamie, I really want to hear from you, for the audience, early on in your qualification process. What helped your team identify this opportunity for a user endpoint management or mobile device management fit in general?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that I really want to preface on all of this is that I am not a highly technical person. So definitely a key takeaway of selling a service like this is that you as an individual don't have to be highly technical, because you have the resources working with VMware and they're going to bring in. So uncovering the opportunity was just a discussion with the customer. So I've been engaged with them for a little while. They are a multi-location oil and gas company, so they have about 18 to 20 regional offices, and their headquarters is obviously in Texas. And I knew that they had cell phones for their company, as well as iPads, laptops, things like that. And so obviously with the inception of COVID, their headquarters moved to a distributed workforce. And the conversation, I asked them, like, you have a lot of assets in your environment, and you only have 4 people on your IT team. How are you guys managing all of that? And what was interesting is my contact actually giggled a little bit in the sense that he was like, well, we're kind of doing a good job until COVID. And then they realized that there were some serious gaps in their solution sets, and that it was pretty antiquated and bolted together and absolutely not efficient. So it was really just asking the question initially of, you have all this stuff, right? Technical term stuff out there, how are you managing it? And that was really just the door opening of it.
That's great. And that's perfect, because I think that helps the audience understand that you don't have to be technical to be able to sell what is a very dynamic and complex solution with VMware. Thank you, Jamie. So in light of the fact that you were able to discern the stuff out in the field, how are you able to take, that process with your customer and guide that to an AppSmart introduction? Because there is a transition process there. Could you help us understand how you transition that to an appointment?
Yeah, so we had that initial conversation. It was actually pretty short. It was a tail end of something else that we were actually talking about. So we set up an internal dialogue with them, and it was only about 30 minutes. And that dialogue was really just understanding more of their environment. And if they were to look at a managed solution for UAM, MDM, and all of that, what would it look like? What would be their needs list, their want list, and how does that fit into budget? And so the customer shared with us that they would want to manage device settings, OS updates, configurations, software updates, and it would be really critical that it would, it doesn't matter if it's on-prem, off-prem, or in the cloud. And they also had a number of different, operating systems, Android, Apple, Windows desktops. They even still had traditional desktops for their engineering team. And then he had, some hit things of, it would be great just to have an inventory of all of the devices that are out there, let alone really manage it efficiently. So we had that internal talk, actually spoke with my engineer here at IDIQ Wired, Rob, a little bit about the opportunity. And he had said, I think AppSmart and their VMware solution could be a really great fit for them. And they're also already a VMware shop. So they use VMware Horizon. So it was a really logical flow to be able to move them into another VMware solution.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that you'll find that a lot of businesses out there have some sort of VMware solution or product within their data infrastructure. Just keep that in mind too. So that's a pretty good idea of how you were able to bring it to an appointment, create the value, and then transition that into an AppSmart conversation. At the same time, I think what's really desired out there in the market and the channel right now is a good way to uncover these opportunities and a best practice in that sense. So what do you feel from your experience now is the best way to uncover an endpoint opportunity through mobile device management? Is there a best practice that you guys follow?
I wouldn't say that it's a best practice, but again, to Kelly's point, in our ownership of our accounts, we go deep and wide. So, we have a lot of revenue with this customer, and we're entrenched at many different levels. So that I would say is probably the best practice, but ultimately that comes down to just asking every question. So whether it's endpoint device management, or what are you doing with Microsoft today, or what are you doing with security today? There's a lot of gaps out there. It's just really not looking at speeds and feeds anymore, because that stuff's just not fun. It's looking at what's really going on in the industry and the challenges that they're having, and then asking questions around that. And it's not a sales pitch. It's not a, hey, I have this great service, I have this amazing support model, you're going to love this, you're going to want this. It's, from what I understand about your environment, you have, 300 devices, and that's got to be challenging. Is it? And would you want to hear about some of the new solutions on the market that are out there, and, what some of our other customers are actually taking a look at? And it's really more of a solution, a consultation, right? It's not selling anything out of the gate. It's being a partner with them, and the partnership is the most important part to IDIQ Wired.
Great feedback. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, Jamie.
Awesome.
You've been in the industry for quite a while, and you are starting to merge over into selling software. What was that transition like for you from selling, let's just say, other solutions in the telco industry to now getting into solutions like VMware? What was it difficult for you? How did you do that? Could you share really quickly with the audience that transition for yourself?
Boy, I would love to hear Kelly's opinion of my transition on this. So I would say, for me, it was something that was very important. Having the telco background that I had, that was a very easy discussion. And when I started with IDIQ Wired, it was very important for me to push myself out of my comfort zone. And pushing myself out of my comfort zone meant I had to ask other types of questions. I had to discover new types of technologies that were out there. And I took a lot of self-vetting. So when a solution would come up, or if I brought up security, which we know goes super wide, like that's just a really general broad statement, understanding, well, what can we do? How do we do it? And then finding the right partners. And I would always talk to the partners and be like, talk to me about this before in front of the customer so I don't look like an idiot. Like, what is the service? What are we selling? What does it do? Why is it important? So I could be in lockstep with, the organization that we bring in. And that was really important. And I don't know anything about, this VMware solution. And I was on the demo and I learned a lot and it looked great. But the technical details behind the background, I still don't have to be, 100% into those. But for me, it was asking a lot of questions. And I think I started with security. I've done some SCCM stuff. I've done some Oracle database management. Obviously this workspace, and actually have a couple of other software opportunities out there as well. So, and I think AppSmart is interesting in its approach with its diversity and the partnership. So if I can learn from VMware and your team, it's only going to help me feel more confident in my approach with more customers that I work with.
Kelly, would you have anything to add to that? That was perfect. That was perfect.
I mean, she's perfect, right? It's awesome. I think even to kind of take a step back, having those conversations and wanting to learn, that's part of it. And it's great for all of us to do that because everything is changing at such a rapid pace and people are expecting more. I think that's the biggest part to remember is that if we're doing the right things on traditional services or whatever we might have helped our customers and our partners on previously, we've kind of earned the right to continue to have conversations and have compelling conversations and to understand what's happening in their environment that's ever changing and so fast paced right now. They're almost seeking more from us. They want to have those conversations. They want to know what we know, not what they already know. They're looking for what's next and for an understanding and for that person to grab them by the arm and help guide. So it doesn't mean you have to be the expert, as Jamie said. Just be available to have conversations and ask. Be a 4-year-old. Why? What's going on? How do you feel? And I mean, that's what we're doing in a lot of cases. And again, because we did the right things and had been there for, the non-sexy, less, more traditional type services, we get to have the fun conversations, as Jamie said, and help grow and get those gifts that keep giving, which are the software and application type services. So it's been a wonderful.
Yeah, I think what I take away from that is to be curious. I think that's a great point. Be curious in front of your customers, and things will unveil. Is it fair to say, and I think everyone is talking about COVID, right? I mean, it's a prevalent conversation topic. Is it fair to say that VMware is a pretty good fit for a large majority of businesses from relatively small to mid-market to enterprise? Do you feel that way, Jamie, after our experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually, in my client portfolio, I think probably at least 90% of them, if not all of them, are actively using VMware today, which is also very exciting because now having gone through this experience with you, you can bet I'm going to go back to those customers and say, hey, you already have VMware in your environment. Have you looked at this service as well? And kind of just bring up that additional dialogue, which I think is huge, right? Because VMware's name is just, it's known. Everybody knows their name. They're entrenched in, everything from medium to large business. And so again, that's an easy conversation to have with a customer. You already have this. Like, have you actually heard about this or explored it? And would you be interested? And to have direct access to the VMware team, that's a game changer, right? It's not just it's going to be my engineer and then this other third party, but we're actually going to have VMware resources together to help move that forward, which I think is awesome.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So last question, and I'll let you guys off the hook here. Overall, through this experience, you've closed a lot of business, right? And now, as you're getting into SaaS, you're probably looking at comparing the different revenues, efforts put into the process. So overall, how do you feel a SaaS revenue opportunity like this one compares to, in terms of effort to put in, pre-sales, post-sales, how do you think the revenue compares to what you may have worked on previously?
I would add revenue, but I would also add time. So anybody that's installing circuits, like not only going through the pricing exercise and getting the contracts and then provisioning and then installation, you might start getting paid on that 6 months later. So this whole process, I think, Nick, from us, from start to finish will be maybe 3 weeks from the time we actually got you and VMware in front of the customer. They'll be able to sign a contract, and I actually think you guys can install within 30 days. Billing commences. So as far as work on the front end to getting paid out quicker on the back end, that's enormously huge and very exciting, right? Because I want to work smarter, not necessarily harder. Love work-life balance. And I just think it's a great opportunity, those types of conversations, because they're going to go quicker. They're going to move faster, bringing in the right team. And you guys did a great job, right? We had the intro call with the customer. We got on a demo. They started the test drive. I feel like 4 days later, Al, that's on this call, was actually working with the customer yesterday. We already have the quote out to them. We're going through a couple of red lines. I mean, it was just very efficient sales process that just moved a lot quicker than the back end other, headache stuff for sure. So I am all for it, Nick, all for it.
I love it. Okay, great. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Kelly. We appreciate the insight very much and the partnership, and this process has been very enjoyable. So thank you for the feedback.